When Fred VanVleet was listed as out against the Brooklyn Nets a couple of nights ago and Nick Nurse decided to start Malachi Flynn in his place, I gotta say, I was a little bit shocked and a little bit upset. But in the 2 games in Fred VanVleet's absence, Malachi Flynn has actually been pretty great. So in today's video, we try to answer if Malachi Flynn can solve one of the biggest problems plaguing the Toronto Raptors this season. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? It's Jacob here with Amateur Hour Sports, back for yet another Toronto Raptors YouTube video. We do at least 3 or 4 of these every single week, so if that is of interest to you, then make sure you join the Amateur Hour Army by subscribing to the channel. But let's get into our video for today. We are talking about Malachi Flynn, and honestly, I didn't think I'd be making a video this season talking about how much Malachi Flynn can actually impact this team. There's been a lot of criticism for Malachi Flynn from Raptors fans, and especially from me this season. And a lot of people get mad at me when I talk ill about a Toronto Raptors player, but some players deserve to get criticized. And I would hope people who come to view these videos done by me, are getting my opinion. I hope you come here to get my opinion. I tell you about what I think about the Raptors and not just what you want to hear, not just good things you want to hear about the Raptors. Because the reality is lots of things are going right this season, but there's some things that are going wrong this season. And one of the things going wrong this season is the fact that we have no discernible backup point guard. It seemed like at the start of the season, there was a backlog of point guards in the depth chart, starting with Fred VanVleet. There was Goran Dragic, there was Malachi Flynn, and then a potential for Delano Banton, though he kind of shocked us into getting himself involved in the rotation at all, which just clogged it up even more. Goran Dragic removed himself from the depth charts, and Delano Banton wasn't somebody we could rely on consistently every single night. Malachi Flynn, it was the perfect opportunity for him this season to take the next step of his NBA career. In fact, before the season started, I said this season was the time for Malachi Flynn to take the next step, and I had full belief in him to be able to achieve that. He ended the season last year really well. We were getting to the end of the season. Raptors were tanking. He was getting a ton of playtime, playing well, was the Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month for the month of April. Everything was pointing to Malachi Flynn growing into that bigger role as our backup point guard. But that just didn't really happen. And many people criticize Nick Nurse for this, saying that Nick Nurse wasn't giving Malachi Flynn enough minutes. But when Malachi Flynn actually got minutes, there was nothing telling about his performances that would make us want to give him more minutes unless we were absolutely obligated to do so. Like in the game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, where we only had 4 main roster players, none of which were starters, 4 main roster players healthy to play. Malachi Flynn was one of them, and he started that game. But Fred VanVleet went down with the injury. He's got a little bit of knee soreness. He's missed the last 2 games. I support the decision to rest him, get him back where he's more 100% or closer to 100%. And when Fred VanVleet was down, last time that happened, the Raptors went with Pascal Siakam as the point guard, which he actually played really well in that role. Surprisingly, was moving the ball well, was finding some good passes. I thought the Raps were just going to do that again, but again, I was pretty shocked, and I wasn't particularly happy when Nick Nurse decided to start Malachi Flynn against the Brooklyn Nets a couple of nights ago, as I mentioned earlier. But Malachi Flynn, right out of the gates, kind of blew me away. And what Malachi Flynn was doing really well is he was pushing the pace of the offense. I thought our offense looked a lot smoother and a lot quicker with Malachi Flynn than instead of Fred VanVleet in the previous 2 games where we got blown out by the Hornets and the Hawks. He wasn't healthy. Malachi Flynn, who was healthy, had a lot more speed to his game, was moving the ball really well, was making the right decisions, picking the right choices when he's taking a shot, whether to make a pass, whether to go to the rim, whether to take a jump shot. All the decision making from Malachi Flynn was great, but that's not the problem with Malachi Flynn. All of last season, all of this season, when Malachi Flynn plays, his decision making has never been a problem. And I've said this so many times about the player. He is a smart player. He's got the basketball IQ, but players like him need to sharpen up the execution of their play. Let's take a look at the game against the Atlanta Hawks. That's the game where Malachi Flynn really earned himself that starting spot a couple of nights ago against the Brooklyn Nets. Against the Atlanta Hawks, the Raps were getting absolutely dismantled. Garbage time, which is usually about 3 or 2 minutes at the end of the game, where basically both teams are trying to run out the clock. There was like 9, 10, 11 minutes of garbage time against the Atlanta Hawks. That was a big opportunity for the bench players to show that, hey, we're not playing well. I deserve some more minutes. And for Malachi Flynn, who got that opportunity, he was doing all of the right things against the Atlanta Hawks, just not executing his jump shot. He was playing well, making the right decisions, but he was 2 for 10 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. He's got like the smoothest jump shot for somebody who can hit 3-pointers consistently, but that changed in that starting role. Again, I wasn't particularly happy, but I never have a vendetta against Raptors players. I criticize Raptors players all the time. Chris Boucher, I gave a lot of shit earlier on in the season, but I want them to succeed at the end of the day. I just don't support the decisions. I want this team to win. I didn't think that was the best decision to help this team win. But right from the jump, Malachi Flynn was playing really well and executing his jump shots, getting to the rim, mixing it up offensively. And I think one of the key things about that was that Malachi Flynn was really allowed to operate in the pick and roll. He was a pick and roll specialist in college. That's basically what got him drafted by the Raptors. I felt like last season we didn't give him enough pick and roll opportunities until the end of the season where, it was pretty much tank season. Aaron Baines got a ton of minutes, really good at giving screens. Him and Malachi Flynn worked decently well in the pick and roll in the few occasions they had together. And that was kind of glimpses of what Malachi Flynn could bring. Last couple of games, Malachi Flynn has had a lot more opportunities in the pick and roll. That is where he operates best. He's executing his jump shots now. I'm really hoping he starts to find some confidence. And these last couple of games, even when Fred VanVleet is back, which I expect him to be tomorrow against the Detroit Pistons, even when Fred VanVleet's back, I expect Malachi Flynn to have that backup point guard role so we don't have to play Fred VanVleet 40 minutes per game. Now let's get to that huge problem. I've gone on my spiel about Malachi Flynn, why I wasn't particularly happy with the decision, why I've been very critical of Malachi Flynn this season, what he's doing wrong, how he's not executing, and what's different about these last couple of games. The biggest problem with the Raptors, I'd say, well, the true center not having one. Biggest problem. The second biggest problem, more like a 1B type of problem, is the lack of guard depth. And I think that the minutes per game is catching up to Fred VanVleet a little bit, which is why there are these little niggling injuries that he is dealing with right now. Again, the knee soreness. We need to have a backup point guard that we can rely on. Somebody who can operate as the ball handler, the primary ball handler, somebody to lead the offense in the second unit, but also that second unit desperately needs some floor spacing. It's been really good the past couple of games, but it's not been very good throughout the season. Malachi Flynn can operate in that space. He can be that floor spacer in the second unit. And if Malachi Flynn can do all of these things that he's capable of doing, I don't need 15, 18 points like he's done in the last couple of games. He shot 7 for 11 a couple of nights ago with 18 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds on 7 for 11 shooting. Last night was also really good. 15 points, 6 for 11 shooting, but up the assist to 8 and up the rebounds to 6. I don't expect that every game from Malachi Flynn, but he can certainly come off the bench and give you 8 to 10 points a game, 3, 4, 5 assists per game. I think that is well within his capabilities, and he's always been like a sneaky good rebounder, just coming in late to get those long rebounds. I've always felt that about the player. It's just throughout this season, he has shown a distinct lack of execution as an NBA player, making me think that he would struggle to be on the Raptors roster next season. But I think that these two games, they haven't been spectacular, but they may just have been good or great enough to really restore some faith in myself and some faith in Raptors fans. I've always believed from day one that Malachi Flynn was a good draft pick, but that faith is really dwindling right now, making me think that maybe it is time to call him a bust. But if this little streak here of 2 games can give him that confidence that he needs, I would be really excited because this guy can really help out our team. He can really fill in that backup point guard role. But I am hoping that, Malachi Flynn's not starting every game. Fred's going to be back, and Malachi Flynn certainly will not be starting there. I am really hoping that if he is given that opportunity off the bench, he can maintain this confidence and maintain this level of play with the second unit, solving one of the biggest problems that the Toronto Raptors have been dealing with this season and giving us that extra little bit of shooting off the bench, giving that extra little bit of guard depth that the Raptors have significantly lacked. For his sake, that might earn him another year in the NBA where he is getting a good enough role to maybe get that team option for the 4th year. If I have to bet on it right now, Malachi Flynn's not getting that team option with the Raptors in his 4th season. But it's up to him to be able to turn that around. It's up to him. He's been given opportunities, been given play time. This is the biggest opportunity he has gotten this season. His season averages aren't really fair to really judge by because he's just not been giving that many time, but 3.7 points per game, 1.4 assists, 1.3 rebounds with not great shooting. I mean, 39% shooting from the field, just under 30% shooting from three. Those aren't significant stats to really go by, but if he can finish the season strong, if he can have a good offseason, this is a player who could help us out. But I'm focusing on the present right now. The Raptors need a backup point guard. If Malachi Flynn can play like 75% of the level that he's displaying right now, even like 60%, if he can do that, if he can give us some sort of role off of the bench, he can definitely help out this Toronto Raptors team, help out with injuries, and even when we're fully healthy, make this team better. I've been critical of Malachi Flynn, but I want nothing more than the success of every player who is on the Toronto Raptors roster. That does not disclude Malachi Flynn. So what do you guys make of these last two performances for Flynn? Are you back to believing in him? Can he be that backup point guard, or do you think he's going to start to fade off? I unfortunately kind of believe he may start to tail off a little bit and just kind of fall back into that obscurity on the bench. But again, I hope the best for the player. Thanks so much for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Make sure to give a like on the video if you did enjoy. It goes a long way to supporting me, supporting the brand, and helping me on my YouTube journey. And make sure if you are new and you enjoy Raptors videos and you enjoyed this one, then you subscribe to the channel. We do 3 or 4 of these videos every single week. Always talk about the Raptors. I love making these videos, love talking to you guys, giving you guys my opinion on basketball related matters, and I hope you enjoy them as well. I have a big passion for this, and I'm just so grateful that I can broadcast my opinions on the Raptors to such a great audience and a great group of people. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you again next time for another video.